right. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a good one, folks. Jake Letizia in the house. Letizia, as you say on your podcast.
Wow, dude, already fucking up,
Oh,
dude.
you are
Already mush mouth.
brutal. Brutal, man. Okay, so gotta ask you, what is your name? How do you know me? And who are you?
My name is Jake Letizia. What was it? I blacked out. What was it? Jake. My
You were like,
name.
oh fuck, Kenny's asking me a question like very formally.
Well,
Let me black out.
well, also I was like, what is this even? I'm like, this was never.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, hey,
So
dude, I want to talk to you. I want to do an interview with you. And I was like, oh, okay. And now that I'm in
okay,
it, I'm like, what's even going on?
that's true. That's a really good point. Yeah, so this is going to be for my YouTube channel, which is just a series of interviews with people.
Mm.
Interviews, it's they're conversations. They're meant to be conversations, but they've turned into interviews because uh, I guess I just ask the questions, and
It's like a podcast, like a little Kenny Fedorko podcast.
yeah, but I would really love it to just be like a normal conversation between the two of us because I think those are just the best. So, yeah.
I would love it for it to be a normal conversation. Anyway, tell me your name, exactly where you met me.
Sure. But how do we know each other?
No, I'm messing with you. Well, what's the
I
question?
know, I know. Jake, I miss you,
I don't
man.
mean to
Dude,
diss up the format.
I haven't seen your face. Well, actually, I just watched your podcast. I've seen your face very recently.
Seen it too much.
Yeah, I that's not true. That maybe it is true.
I don't know. You tell me.
I just watched number 71 today.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. The one where you pulled out the straw, dude.
Oh, yeah, I showed that I have a straw.
Well,
Let's
that
not
was
talk
in the
about
beginning.
that, though, dude. I'm on
Okay.
your show, man.
Well,
Let's,
I need to remember to hold on. I'm grabbing a pencil so I can remember. I want to like write down a bunch of links to the
Okay.
things that we talk about. So that's going to be so number one is a link to your podcast. So okay. So
Oh,
yeah. So what? Okay.
getting the plug
So
in already.
do you remember how? Yeah, of course. I mean, come on. So do you remember how we met?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to totally derail everything. So
Jake, that's how our conversations go. This is just how it's gonna be. It's just gonna be. We're not gonna be able to answer this question for the first 15 minutes, Jake. Okay. So,
all of our conversations are like dramatic tangents, and then like, but this is what's going on.
You're always the one that brings it back. I take the tangent, and you're like, "All right, shut up." Let's.
I don't go shut up, dude. I would never say that to you.
Yeah, you say "fuck you."
Shut the
instead
fuck
of
up. I gotta
shut-
talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would never say that to you. Now shut the fuck up so I can answer your question from the beginning. No, okay, so what is it? My name, when I met you.
And yeah, who are like? How would you talk about yourself? Like, who are you, and what do you stand for? What do you like to do? Who are you?
All right, big questions.
I need to figure out an easier question to lead off because everyone that I've asked, everyone's like, "Oh," right off the bat. So I should just be like, "What's your favorite color?" and just like leave it hanging, and have them just talk.
No, well, maybe like a segue into just later be like, oh, what's something? It's just a big question in the beginning. Tell me what you're all about.
Yeah, tell me your identity. Yeah, exactly.
You want to ease me in, bro? No. No. So I'm Jake Letizia. I met Kenny. I was doing a film program for Sarah Lawrence College when I was 20. I guess I was 20 years old.
It was in
7 years ago.
2013. It was actually July of 2013. It was 7 years ago.
Wow. Anyway, 7 years ago, I was a young child, and with the dream of making films, and I was in a film program, and it was New York City, and we were waiting outside the building. Me and everyone else in the film program was waiting outside the building that we were holding auditions in, and because we were backed up and not let in the building, we ended up being in line with actors who were going to audition. So this kid next to me in line, this young fair-haired boy, is next to me in line behind me, And he asked me, "Hey, is this where the Sarah Lawrence auditions are?" Oh, he goes, "Are you waiting in line for the Sarah Lawrence auditions?" And I go, "Oh no, we're holding them." And then the guy laughed. This guy's Kenny. He laughs and goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's good." And then I go, "I'm not kidding." And then he's like, "What?" And then we got let inside, and then Kenny just had to wait in line, going, "Who the fuck was that kid? Why did I don't know if he was messing with me or what's going on." You must have thought like, "Oh, dude, I'm not getting in any
Yeah,
movies now."
exactly. I was like, oh man, well, I just fucked that up, of course. Just keep my big mouth shut. You know what I mean?
You thought I was like,
Uh,
but it's also funny because I'm younger than you, so it's like this smarmy little kid is like, "We're holding the auditions," and they're like, "Yeah, okay, that's funny. All right, so you're gonna audition?" I'm like, "No, we are." And you're like, "Oh shit, this young idiot is gonna fuck me over." Am I allowed to curse? By the way, I've been cursing. I
yeah.
said
Oh
it.
yeah. No. Yeah. It's just like normal. Yeah.
All right, cool. Anyway, so then Kenny came in. He had a very good audition. Uh, I thought he was great. I didn't cast him initially in my movie. I tried to cast somebody else, and then they didn't get back to me. And then I was like, "Oh, I should ask that guy online. I liked him a lot." And then I asked you, and then you were like, "Hell yeah, I'm super excited." And then you ended up being in the movie. And then
The bicycler.
the
It's on.
bicycler.
It's online somewhere. We could
No, I
actually
took
put.
it off.
No, you didn't.
I
No,
took
you
it
didn't.
offline. Yeah,
No, you didn't. Hold on one
yeah.
second. I have to Google it.
No one needs to see uh that rough fucking movie.
Dude, I'm sad you took it off. I
Well, I
love
still
that
have
thing.
it. I still have it. I just took it off because it's like, it was the first thing I ever made. It's real rough. Doesn't hold up.
Jesus, the things that pop up. Dude, yeah. Um, fuck. What was I gonna say? Gonna say something about. Oh yeah, I ended up doing like two or three of those student films. One of them
You
I was
did,
like
yeah.
pushed in a. I was like in a garbage can, like pushed down the hill or something.
And you were with the boys.
The
It was like you
boys.
and the boys. That was the
Oh
movie.
yeah,
And
it
then
was bad. That was
yeah.
bad.
Well, it was fun. It was fun to watch though. I would like to get a hold of those movies. You were like
Oh
the friend. You were like the goofball friend of some. The whole premise of the short film was that uh, there was like this couple, and the guy, something about the guy's girlfriend kept leaving him post
yeah,
it
post-its. Yeah, that's right.
to like do things or something, and then he would never like read them or something, and then they like break up, and then he's all sad, and he hangs out with his boys, and then he comes home and he wakes up and there's a post-it there, so it's supposed to be like, oh, they're back together. It's a fucking, you know it's like the classic thing of like, this is a cool idea when I'm 17. I mean, my movie was the same thing. It was like a guy gets angry at a bicycler and beats him to death. Like, what a stupid, edgy 17-year-old movie.
I love that though. That was great. That was great.
It was fun. I mean, I got to meet you on it, and it was definitely a fun experience.
And Kate was there, and right, was Kate the
Kate, yeah.
DP?
Kate, Kate was my like what's it called?
Oh,
Chaperone type person. Like she was the
oh,
not
that's right.
chaperone. What's it called? I forget.
She was like advising you, right? Or or she was like
Yeah,
part like one of the counselors in the program.
yeah. It was the job I ended up doing like the year after, and then continuously for a couple of years. I forget what they call it. They call it like it's basically the producer of the set.
Right, that's right. You called her a producer. I remember you saying that she was the producer of it. Yeah, that was so long ago. And then after that, I, we didn't talk for like a year or something. And then you like called me back or called me, and then we did another thing, and then
Yeah, we did it was Max Payne. It was
oh, that's
I made a
right.
short film out of Max Payne, the
Oh
video
my
game.
And then like yeah, that was probably the craziest. I probably went the most insane of any film shoot ever with that one.
That was great though. You're so gung ho. I was like, is it cool if Kenny played a captive of like a crazy mob boss? And I like It was like the house that my parents were moving out of. So I turned it. That's twice now that my parents were moving out of a house and I made a short film in the house as they were leaving.
Yeah, both kind of like horror
Both,
films
yeah,
too.
yeah, both terrifying. But this one, it was like we changed it so that we made it kind of look like a drug den, like a drug house. And Kenny was like handcuffed in a bathroom, being like kind of tortured, not really, but kind of more questioned by this mobster. And the mobster like dunks him in this water that we made like looked like it was like filled with shit, but it was just coffee grinds. But it was so funny because I was like, Kenny, is it cool if we dunk you? And I was like all nervous, and Kenny's like, sure, anything.
I was like, rip my shirt, and I like ripped my shirt, and Jake was like, "That's great. Okay, we'll go for it."
But also, we didn't need you to rip your shirt. What are you doing?
I know. I was like, could we make like the bath water colder?
And I was like, no, it's room temperature's fine.
Yeah, you were like, oh yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm happy you're gung ho, but stop. No, it was great. It was great how gung ho you were.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, and then we did, and then later on, dude, you did that great. I still am waiting. I'm still waiting to see the that other horror film.
Oh, the
that you
horror
did.
movie. Yeah.
What is it called? What is it even called?
It's called House Sitting.
House Sitting.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to see it. One of these days.
Soon. I'm putting the soundtrack in, and I want to redo the sound effects because the sound effects I didn't like how they came out, so I got to redo them.
Hmm.
But yeah, and also for a while I was like trying to figure out if I should get someone to do the score for it.
Oh,
But then I was just like, I don't know. It would have been very annoying and like too time consuming. And then like COVID happened, and I was like, you know what? I still haven't put this out. I'm never gonna get someone to do the score. I'm just gonna take a score that I like and use it in the movie.
it is.
So,
It is kind of exciting to think that you could have like an original score for a horror film. Like that would be really cool. But it's also like really time consuming. Like, who do you know could do a good job? Are you going to spend the money? Are there's just a lot of elements to that.
yeah.
Right? Did any of that go through your mind with that?
Well, that's what it was. It was like, I mean, also other people were like, you got to get your own original score because then you could put in film festivals and stuff. And I was like, well, I don't care. I was like, I don't know anyone who could do a score. I also like working with people who I know can like accomplish the job, who I have chemistry with and can accomplish the job that I'm thinking of in my brain. I don't really know anyone who can do score. And then also I'd have to pay somebody, and I don't want to pay somebody who then like they're going to make a score that I end up not liking. And then
I
it's just a
know
waste of
that's
them.
I know I know. Yeah, that's what
So,
happened with Impatience is with well, yeah, I spent a little extra money on things that I didn't end up using, right? And
yeah.
actually, I still actually that's interesting, right? We haven't. I need to just come up with like a title or a credit page for that
Yeah.
movie because that's all that's needed.
Yeah.
Everything else is perfect. Jake edited this movie that I wrote and acted in and produced, and Jake did such a good job, like directing it and editing it, and it's just like sitting in this external hard drive right here,
It's
literally
all
just
good.
like waiting, literally by my right side, just like waiting to get sent. But yeah, life happens, right? So
For sure.
other things. Um, yeah, man, dude, what do we talk about on this?
I don't know. Whatever, dude. Dude, how you doing? You seem sad.
Wait, do I really?
Not to get too real with you. You seem either sad or confused.
Oh, interesting. Well, you know what's awesome is that like is that you ask questions and you're a listener. I'm missing that in my life, man. I'm missing it. I
Yeah,
am.
we haven't seen
I,
each other in the flesh. Yeah. Earlier when you said we haven't seen each other in such a long time, that's what like, yeah, we haven't seen each other like face to face. It's so
yeah,
weird. Like looking at you through a screen even right now is weird, you know?
I know. Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot on the phone. We talk base that I mean that's basically how we talk.
I think that's
And
why it's strange though, is that we talk so much on the phone that the only time I see your face, and we also try very hard not to, like we've tried very hard like our whole friendship just to always see each other in person, like to rarely text or.
Yeah,
So
we
it's
don't.
weird.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not a big texter. I don't. And you don't text like
I don't either.
texting.
Yeah,
Yeah, doing long form texting is not your thing, and it's not mine either.
yeah.
Texting for me is just like figuring out schedule wise. When can we get together? When can we? Yeah, interesting. I think interesting in terms of. I think my energy. What's I think I feel very calm lately. I don't think I'm sad.
Hmm.
Um I think I am tired. I think I am tired, but I don't the other yeah, I don't know if these are excuses or if it's true, but I mean I went to the beach the other day and got really sunburned.
Hmm.
And I'm still kind of feeling that, and I have been getting up earlier and been biking a lot. Today I biked 9 miles in the morning.
Oh wow.
So yeah, which I mean, I love. That's been really good. Um, that's been kind of the thing I've been most excited to do, other than zooming, and like just hanging out with friends. And I think also another thing is I haven't been writing as much as I have really wanted to. I have like so many projects that I really want to. I think we're both in the same boat with this. Is like I have so many projects that I want to do, and I just don't have enough. I don't have. I haven't. I can have discipline. I can have enough discipline to do all the things, but I just don't know how to finagle my brain or my mind or something into being optimally productive with
Hmm.
all of the projects that I want to do. So I think that is probably something that you may sense, but I mean I'm loving quarantine. I'm loving the pandemic. I'm I'm loving everyone dying. Everyone's dying, and I'm just smiling and loving
Keep
it.
not wearing masks, dude. This is going great for me,
I
man. I want
know.
this to continue.
If I could like strip away my nose and my mouth so I could be even more exposed to corona, I would do that. But that would require a lot of pain. So I won't. But yeah. So that's. But thanks for making me think about it. I think that's yeah. I need to maybe think about that a little more. What about you? How are you feeling? What's going on?
Uh, I mean, I'm good. I similar thing of I don't know. I think it's just difficult in general right now for people to be productive because it's there's like a crushing sense of being stuck that's happening right now. I feel like in a lot of people's minds of just like if I do something, like what should I be doing that like has a point to it? I feel like like lots of things that you would have otherwise done naturally, not in a quarantine or not in like these dire times. Now in these dire times, you're like, well, should I even do that? That seems so pointless. That idea that I want to do seems so trivial and stupid. It's like,
Mm.
why contribute? Why put things into the world that seem like they're losing meaning very rapidly? You know?
What is the thing for you that like you what is the issue for you that troubles you the most with what's going on and that makes you feel the most helpless, I guess?
Um, I don't know. Well, especially if you're a creative person, it just feels like there's a
Mm.
lot of no matter what creative thing you do, there's a lot of you that you put into the creative thing. And right now, it just feels like, for the most part, why, why would the world might not need what I have to say in this moment.
I disagree. I think the world needs you more now than ever, Jake.
But it's like the thing is that
I know what you mean in terms of like yeah, like in terms of like the protesting and like the voices that really need to be at the forefront are black voices or for gay rights thing. Is that kind of what you mean by that? That's
well,
kind
no,
of
I
how I'm
also
interpreting it.
just mean like a lot of the projects or things or like creative outlets, a lot of the things that I was saying with them or doing with them doesn't seem to pertain much with what's importantly being talked about now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that like I'm not saying that like my voice is trash. What I'm saying is like um the things was the things I was discussing creatively don't pertain to what's happening right now. So when there's like a difference of what's important, what's happening right now, and the things that you were writing about, it ends up being a disconnect where it's like, well, if the things I'm writing about don't really pertain to what's happening, especially when the world is all like, it's hard to have anything. It's hard to have like specific. It's hard to talk about anecdotes or like
Right. I see. Yeah.
when everything is so big right now. It's hard to like portray something in a small way when it seems like the entire world is like that.
I think a lot of people are feeling the same way. I think a lot of people feel really hopeless because it's it's this idea of there's this really good psychology book by Schwartz. I forget what his first, Charles Schwartz or something. It's called The Paradox of Choice, right?
Yeah.
It's like oh, this this a few days ago was Pride Month, so like,
Mhm.
and also George Floyd murder and the Black Lives Matter protests. It's also Corona. It's like, where do we? It's like, yeah, where do we? First of all, there's so many things going on, like you're saying, that it's stifling, and like it's really hard to kind of come up with very specific, meaningful actions that we can take in this isolated time that could actually be of use, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, but I also think that, like Bernie Sanders says, man, like this is not a time to be in despair.
Yeah.
This is the time to stand up and do something. Moments
Yeah.
where you where that feel most hopeless are the moments that action and action and inspiration are needed most, you know, and we're artists, and it's our responsibility to do something, you know.
Yeah.
Now what that is, for me it's doing this with you, you
For
know.
sure.
For me this is all I feel I can do. um you know, talk to smart people, people who listen, and you know, I think that's one of the things that I find most inspirational about you and about our friendship is that you you listen and I listen, and we ask each other questions, and we don't have to be right all the time with each other, because you know, we don't have to like, you know, dick measure when it comes to conversation.
Well,
I
see,
think
that's where you're wrong. No.
oh, okay, okay.
No, kidding. I
Uh,
don't listen to you, and my dick is much bigger than yours. So shut the fuck.
I swear it is. I swear to
You want to
God.
fucking compare right now, dude?
Dude, Omegle, man, Omegle. I'll see you
Yeah, let's
there.
switch. Let's switch apps right now, dude. Let's make it. Let's do this where it's appropriate. Omegle,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, exactly.
You still got your chat roulette account? Let's go.
Oh, you know. Oh my God.
No, sorry. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, that's why I like talking to you too. Is that we have natural conversations and yeah,
It really it blows. I get mad. I get mad because actually, you know, the few conversations that I've had, it's amazing how few people really ask questions. I'm the
oh
only
really?
person asking questions, and maybe that's maybe I think that it is certainly partially my fault because it's my thing, and maybe I've been it's been feeling like an interview kind of a session, but I want it to be a conversation. Like, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's also that's a natural thing to. I mean, yeah, come on to your thing. It's also I don't know how well the people. I don't know how well you know the people who you've had on here, but
yeah.
they
Some
might
of them know me
feel.
well. Some of them know me well. Some of them don't know me at all. And I'm
But they
surprised that people who know me well aren't like
aren't
that,
asking questions.
at least so far.
Maybe they just think
They
you're a
are. They
fucking
are.
piece of
Listen,
shit, dude. Maybe they say maybe this is the reason. Maybe because you're talking shit about your guests.
yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, recording. No, not that I'm saying that they're no, but
No, I know what you're
I just,
saying.
I just wish people would ask more questions.
But also you're looking at it from a perspective of you're worried that you're not cultivating that you're worried that you're creating an environment where they feel they can't ask a question,
You're
which
right.
makes sense because I mean it's also a weird thing. You're trying to figure this out. Also, you did tell me that like, oh, this is going to be an interview type thing. So somebody who doesn't know you as well might be like, oh, well, oh, an interview. I guess you're going to ask me questions. They also might be nervous to ask you questions. They might not know the format explicitly enough, or like there might be some pressure of like, oh, I don't want to ask a question and then him be like, well, I'm interviewing you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, that's true. That you're right. Oh, Jake.
No, I'm wrong, dude. We got to measure each other's dicks.
Where's your dick? Where is it, dude? My
Speaking
mom
of
is gonna.
penises, oh, sorry.
My mom and dad are gonna watch this. They're gonna be like, "Oh my god." My dad is gonna be like, "Oh my god."
I thought Jake was such a sweet boy.
I love you, Dad. I love you, Mom.
um, I was gonna say, speaking of penises, I just rewatched Watchmen because Josh has never seen it, and we watched Watchmen.
This was. Oh, is this the movie?
Yeah, this
The 200 minute.
the 3 hour Zack Snyder.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
It's not that good. I mean, I loved it when I was like in high school, but watching it now, I mean, I knew going into it like this isn't gonna hold up. Like an adult version of me is gonna be like, I like this for like stupid reasons when I was younger. Um, Also, they changed things from the comic in a way that feels disingenuous in the movie. Like they change characters to be more likable or more unlikable in a way that kind of hurts the story overall. But
Mm.
this isn't a Watchmen interview. This is a fucking
Did you
Kenny and
watch?
Jake.
Did you watch? We're going to be talking about movies and TV a lot. Did you see Debs?
No, I haven't watched any of those.
Oh, ooh, Alex. You know Alex Garland did it, right? The guy who did Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, I mean I hear it's really good.
Yeah, that's yeah, that was killer. And then of course, I think now actually my favorite show on Netflix is Dark.
I know. Yeah, you told me it's great. I've heard from a lot of people that it's really great too.
Yeah, I won't harp on it, but I'll continue to harp on it until you watch it.
I've heard Alone. Everyone's talking about Alone now.
Never heard of it. What is that?
On Netflix. Alone is about it's like naked and afraid, but they put people in the Arctic. So it's like you go into the Arctic with somebody, and then you each get like one item, and then they see how long you can survive in the Arctic. I hear it's good. I don't know. I haven't watched it, but also I don't like shows like that, so maybe I wouldn't like it at all.
I don't know if. Uh, I mean, who do they put on there? Like Joe Schmo, like the guy freezes to death. Like I don't want to be watching.
It's not
What?
celebrities. Yeah, I think it's random people. But that's why you connect, bro, because you're just a random bloke. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but if I'm a random bloke and I'm put in the Arctic with like toothpicks for my item, like I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
Like
but
what if someone dies on there? No one's gonna die, right?
no,
They
they
would not. They would
intervene.
not produce the show if people died on it. So
No,
I
no.
like. Where are the stakes? Where are the stakes? If I know they're not going to die, then where are the stakes? Where's the? You know what I
Well,
mean?
I'm sure there's some sort of like cash prize or something. I'm sure there's something where like the longer you survive, the more money you get, or some stupid shit like that.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to break it down, I mean, I don't know how the show is shot. It might be like a lot of hidden cameras and there's no one around. That'd be the best way to do it. I
Yeah.
hope there's no cameraman like just standing right there, like it's cold, huh? If that was the case, then it was me and you. We would just like attack the cameraman and be like, get
yeah,
whatever heating pad he has.
yeah, exactly. Like kill him and then eat him,
Yeah, I would do that.
unless that's not in the contract. Like
I
can't
don't think
kill
that's in the
people.
human contract. I don't think you're allowed to kill any people.
Well, come on, you have to get creative sometimes.
Wow, dude, you're serious. This is serious. This is
I'm
not a
s-
joke you're making. You want to
no.
eat? You want to kill and
Yeah.
eat somebody?
Yes.
Oh my god,
Yes.
dude.
I'm hungry. I've been a vegetarian too long.
Jamie, cut that.
We'll fix that in post.
Jamie, can you look that up?
This is going on the interweb.
No, it's not, dude. I won't let this see the light of day. If you put this online, our friendship is done. Okay? I don't need your parents watching this and seeing how much I curse and your mom going, I thought Jake was a totally different guy.
Oh, no! Or Oma.
Jenny!
Yeah, Oma will be like, oh, fuck!
Yeah, no, Oma doesn't know what's going on. What are you talking about? Oma's not going to watch this?
Oma like watches it over and over.
If she does, she's going to be like, what? Why are they in the computer? What's going on? Oh, fuck! I was telling my friend about that the other day. You want to tell that story?
Dude, I don't remember. I
don't remember. Oh fuck! You don't remember why we
I
say
do
that?
not remember. I do not remember the origin of that. I remember the origin of come on. What was it?
There you go,
come
baby.
on, baby. Yo, here we go, baby.
Here we go, baby. Yeah, we were
that.
at a bowling alley. Kenny, his ex-girlfriend, and me were at a bowling alley, and every time I wound up and I guess threw the bowling ball, Kenny was like, "Oh, there we go, baby." Like if I got a spare. No, yeah, whatever. But no, all fuck is you were telling me and Kenny used to go to this bar before it got shipwrecked from COVID. We used to go to this bar that was like on a boat.
Wait, was it ship? What happened to the front?
No, it wasn't shipwrecked. I'm just saying,
okay.
Yeah, it got shipwrecked. Everyone died.
Oh no!
Oh, fuck. Everyone was like, "Oh fuck!" and then they drowned. No, dude. What's up, Kenny's parents? Dude, I made a drowning joke. What's up? No, we had the Frying Pan. Right? That's the bar that we used to go to that was on the water. Opens like every May. Obviously, because you can't fucking in the middle of winter be like, come out on the boat. It's the water's frozen. No,
yeah,
so
May to October. Mm-hmm.
You told me a story about somebody in your acting program in college had a crush on you. Some girl had a crush on you.
Yes.
And then she was like very nice. She was like a really cool person, but you weren't interested. So then she like gathered up the courage, and you were telling me this story when we were at the Frying Pan. But she gathered up the courage, and like after a show or after a rehearsal, it was just you and her, and she walked over to you and she's like, "Can I talk to you?" And you're like, "Oh, sure." And then she was like, "Can we? Would you want to date?" And then you're like, "Oh, no, I don't want to do that." But you said, I think you were like nice. You said like, "I appreciate you as a person."
Yeah,
you could tell. You could correct me.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. That I wasn't really attracted to her, but I really care for her as a friend. Right.
Yeah. Very, very polite, Kenny Fedorko. Like.
Yeah.
No, but and then you overheard her, right? Didn't she like leave, and then you overheard her being like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, I walked back into the Bolton Theater like around a wall, and as I was like heading around after I was out of sight, yeah, she was like, "Oh fuck." Dude, I totally forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
I'll tell you why that's funny too. It's funny because thinking of you, because most people would reject somebody and be like, "Oh, I'm not interested," or they're just like, "Oh, I don't know," or they'll be like, or a lot of people do this, which I think is shitty, where they're like, "Oh, maybe," and then they don't ever do anything, but they don't want to like directly reject somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What's funny is that you're such a good, kind person and an honest person that what you thought was the nicest thing to do, and what is the nicest, most honest thing to do is also a very devastating thing to do to somebody. And it just reminds me of the pancakes when you broke up with that girl over pancakes.
Oh, dude! Oh my God! Oh my God! This podcast is trip down memory lane of Kenny's rejections. Yeah, that was a brutal one. I don't think I handled that one well.
But again,
Yeah.
it was from that's what I love about you is that it's always from like the sweetest, like best possible, like, oh, this is gonna be really nice. But then it
Yeah.
ends up having the opposite
Yeah.
effect.
I think for the audience, I
Yeah, tell
may as
them,
well
yeah.
explain it. Yeah,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that yeah, this one girl I was dating. Oh my God, when was it? Must have been 2016. Um, yeah, 2016.
Holy yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. 4 years ago.
Such a long time ago.
Yeah, I spent a New Year's Eve with her where she told me that I would be much sexier if I laughed less, which is stuck which has stuck with me. It stuck with me, obviously. I mean, it comes back to me, and actually, yeah, Jake loved that.
It stuck with you? Wait, has it
Yeah,
stuck with
well,
you?
yeah, I think so.
No, I'm
Well,
fucking with you, of course.
I keep bringing it back. I keep.
I'm fucking
Anyway,
with you
no,
because
no,
it clearly stuck with you. You're so
yeah,
pissed.
yeah. Well, it really did.
I'd
I
be
think
pissed too. I'd be pissed too. It's
I think
it's a rude thing to say.
I think it, yeah. And I was like, after that, I was like, oh, no, no, no. Like, there's no way. Like, if a girl says that my laugh, like detracts from her attraction to me, like, we're not going to be compatible because I love my laugh.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was insecure about that and still am obviously working through it. And but I was like, okay, like, I have to,
But Kenny, like
yeah,
the thing also with that is like I've told, I mean, you know me, I've told a lot of people
lie down.
about
No.
about her. No, shut the fuck up. I've told a lot of people that story of you. I'm gonna kill you, dude. I've told a lot of people uh the story of someone like I don't know if I'd say you. I don't say my friend Kenny, but I'm like, oh, his girlfriend, ex-girlfriend said to him like, oh, you'd be sexier if you laughed less. And they're universally, man, woman, whoever I tell that, they're always like, that's
Yeah, it's like,
crazy.
what? Yeah.
That's a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah, and the problem is that, like, we were really compatible in a lot of other ways. Like, I
Yeah.
just remember having such a great time with her. But I was like, I cannot compromise on this, and maybe I should have communicated better with her about it. But anyway, I was like, well, okay, I kind of want it to end. So we went out to breakfast, probably around. It was actually around 90th Street on the west side,
Uh-huh.
and to this diner, and I bought her breakfast and everything. We had a nice time. Well, we talked, and but I knew that I was going to say I'm not interested anymore, and then so after she had a nice pancake breakfast, and we had a nice breakfast. We were walking to the subway, and I was like, hey, I really don't think that this is gonna work, and I'm so sorry, and yeah, I'm gonna head downtown. And she was like, oh, whoa. She was like completely blindsided by it.
You had a whole meal with her, a whole nice pancake breakfast. Then all of a sudden, we're breaking up.
This, this has been an issue for several of my relationships that I think I'm now finally getting over. Like, I'm
Yeah,
actually getting up the nerve to like communicate it in a more mature way. But I mean, I'll tell you, it's led to some dramatic times.
for sure.
That's
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Oh
it's hard. It's
God,
hard
Pink.
to.
Eugene loves talking about it too. I told Eugene, he's like, IHOP, the IHOP girl. It's like, no, no.
That's a funny switch too. It makes it worse. IHOP. You brought it IHOP.
I did not take her to IHOP.
I know, but
That
that's
would
fun.
be an insult.
That's much funnier to say. Um. Yeah. No. I mean, it's hard to break up with somebody, man. There's no good way to do it. Every way to do it, every version of doing it is going to be terrible. That's the reason why it's hard to do. That's the reason why so many people avoid it. I mean, there are some people
Oh
who
no.
act like in every relationship, they end every relationship with cheating on their person because they'd rather do that than break up with them. Like breaking up with somebody is a universally like a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, you're right. What do
Yeah.
you what like thinking back on your breakups and stuff, like are there any stories that are memorable that where you've learned a lesson from, you know?
Um. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's plenty where I'm like, why? Yeah, I shouldn't have. I should have done that. There's also just times where like I went and hung out with somebody another time when I was like, why did I like? I already did not want to hang out with that person anymore. What was the point of doing that? Because also I'm somebody who once I don't want to be around somebody, it's like they know. Like there's no way to not know. Like I'm very just like, oh yeah, like everything the person says, I'm like, yeah. Like it's you could see it on my face, like, aha, get me the fuck out of here. So yeah, there's a couple times like that I can think of where like uh also there's the one where you know this one of like my girlfriend, my first long term girlfriend. We broke up and then we got back together again. And then when we were back together again, it just felt very strange because we had already broken up. So there was just like a lot of like like the fact that she was so into me again or like so into the relationship again, like inherently felt false in my brain. So she would say things to me that I would just be like, is any of this true? Because you threw it all away once before. So how can I believe this? And I remember the big moment was when we were together and she said something about like, she referred to something about us having kids. And I was like, you think we're going to have kids one day? And she said, yeah, I would want to have kids with you. And I was like, oh, wow. And something in my brain was just like, that's a lot. That's not true. How can you? Also, I was very young. I was like 17, I think, or like 18. I was very young. So my brain, and it was my first relationship, like my first long term, I love this person relationship. So I didn't have the history or experience to know what it's like with other people, to know like how specific. I didn't have enough experience dating wise to know whether or not what she was saying was bullshit, you know?
Yeah. And she
Um,
probably didn't either, you know.
Yeah, I think well that's the thing too is like a combination of like I don't know if it was genuine and also I don't know if she did because I was the only person she ever dated. So to her, of course, like I'd be the person. But also the thing was this was the thing was that I when we dated the first time, I was that person. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to have kids with this person, like I'm going to marry this person, like this is the only person in my like I'm ever going to date and I'm happy about it." And then when she broke up with me, it shattered that idea. And then I became, and then it became a thing where like I came to terms with like, oh, I guess this is what everyone does with their first love. But you come to terms with, oh, well, no, I'm not going to spend my whole life with that person. I'm going to have to spend my life with somebody else or with nobody. I'm going to have to like continue on dating and figuring this out. So then to get back together with that person when your idea of everlasting love has already been shattered, you're like, oh, well then why do you feel the thing that I felt that you fucked up? Or not you fucked up, but like that got broken, that broke.
Right,
And it,
that bro, right. Yeah, that exactly. Do
but
you
what,
Oh yeah, go
sorry,
for
what
it.
did you say? Oh, well, I was going to say the regret was, from that point on, like I was like, oh, I got to break up with this person. Like just in my gut, I knew it had to happen. And then I waited till the last possible moment. I ended up like hanging out with somebody else who liked me, and then we were hanging out, and then she like sat on my lap or she like straddled
Mm,
me or something, and then I was like, in my brain, I was like, oh, this is cheating, and then I like got her off me and was like, like let's not do that. Uh, and then from that point on, in my brain, that felt like enough of cheating where I was like, I have to break up with this person. Um, so then I was like, all right, next time I see her, I'm gonna break up with her. And then what happened was she came to surprise me
oh my God.
because at the time I was at my college. It was during the film program when I met you. I was at my college, living there, and she was living in my hometown. And her dad, she's like, "Hey, I'm coming up," and I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, surprise! I'm coming up to watch Spring Breakers with you because I had said I wanted to watch Spring Breakers.
Oh
Still
my
haven't
God.
seen the movie. Still haven't seen it."
A24. Me neither. A24, man. That's one of the first A24 films. But
But her dad drove her down and
Hmm.
she came into my apartment, and then like the moment I saw her, I was like, I can't. What am I? I'm not what? I can't have. I can't date this person. It's funny too because when I tell people that story of like the straddling, like so many people are like, "That's not cheating. You're fine. You didn't do anything wrong." And I'm like, but to me, that was enough. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you can't. I'm with you. I think that if I were in a relationship and they knew I was in a relationship too, right? Probably.
yeah.
Then like, and if the person straddles you, it's like you are complicit in an act that wasn't communicated about with your other partner,
Well,
which is
this person didn't know that I was in a relationship.
oh, okay,
I had
okay.
never mentioned it to them. So to them, they didn't do anything wrong. Like they thought they were just making a move on somebody they liked.
I see, I see.
This was a dumb. I guess I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 during this time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a dumb 20-year-old thing to do. Wow, we're old men now.
I know. I was. Oh, were you gonna finish?
No, I was just gonna finish. But yeah, so then I was like, the moment I saw her, she was like, I was like, we gotta break up. And she was like, what? And then we both cried, and then like
In
I felt really
person.
bad. Yeah, we're both in person. Yeah, I don't think I've never broken up with somebody.
Like when you were in a relationship with them, you
Yeah,
never broke up with
yes,
them via
yeah.
text. Yeah.
I never broke up with somebody who I was in a relationship over text. It's always in person.
That's good. That's honorable. That's honorable. That's how it should always be done.
It's just like you have to.
They deserve it, like a person.
You deserve it.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean it for it to come up like that.
So that's so
No, no,
violent.
no. But I know. No. But they deserve. They deserve for their significant other to be in person, be there in person
I agree. Yeah,
to take on the whatever the
the
energy.
responsibility of it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and then it's for someone that you've been so intimate with and so personal with, they deserve a personal final reason why you can't be
Yeah,
together.
axe to the neck. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what it is, man. It's the only
it really is though.
socially acceptable murder. It's the murder of a relationship by breaking up with somebody. It's a death, man. Everyone experiences that as like a death because you
It is a
lose
death.
somebody.
Yeah, it's grieving and that's a thing too is like the whole process of getting over an ex and getting over someone is it's similar to a death. It's a grieving process and there's no set amount of time, and it I like I feel like I am very much still grieving very early on relationships that I had, and it just changes, like the grieving process changes
For
over
sure.
time. Um,
You think I mean,
yeah.
I mean, well, if you want to get
No,
into
no,
it,
no, no. Go for it.
but you think
You gonna
you're still grieving like
Alex?
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, definitely. What? Yeah, definitely. I think anyone that I've ever loved, I grieve
Uh-huh.
for, and I think that I think it's I in some ways I still do compare people to her in some ways, like I don't know, is
People you date or people in general?
uh no, people I date,
The
people I
people you
date.
date, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think like at least one thing that really stands out to me is I mean Alex is just an amazing human being and we're friends to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard to find a really nice, just good kind person, and
Yeah,
and for me that really is the foundation of friendship, relationships, and love, and I actually came up, I've been journaling every day now. And I was coming up with like, what are the attributes of like the perfect lover for me, and
mm-hmm.
I came up with, they have to be for
The
me,
perfect
like the
lover. No, sorry.
lover, perfect lover, but like three attributes that
Lover
are,
is a funny word.
like, yeah, I guess, or people in, my,
I'm just messing
I
with it.
know.
Very French of you. My
Yeah.
perfect
Well,
lover.
I am very European. Fedorko. No, it's Ukraine. It's
Whoa,
Ukrainian.
dude, that's offensive. Dude, that accent? That's kind of fucked up.
Hey, I studied dialect. Okay, I studied it, so I can do that.
You got more authority than me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
For sure. So
yeah.
the
So
three,
the three I would say, and I want to hear what you think yours could be.
yeah,
For me, they need to be a good listener. They need to be proactive
uh,
in terms of like communication, and they need to take the initiative, and they need to be curious.
yeah,
They need to ask questions and just want to learn. You
uh,
know, for me, those are the if my partner I think is are those three things, then I will certainly fall in love with them. You know,
yeah.
yeah.
Is this you should make a sheet that's like a
I do. It's in my bathroom right now.
yeah, it's like a checklist sheet, and it's like, hey, you got to do you have these?
Yeah, yeah. Are these?
Are you
Can these be
curious?
fulfilled? Yeah, yeah. I asked
Do you
that at the
listen?
beginning
Hey,
of
are you
every
listening to
interview.
me? Sorry, what did you say? Sorry,
Yeah.
okay.
Are you listening to me right now?
Yeah.
No, no. Yeah, but I know. I wonder.
No, I
I
think
know
those are
you're.
good qualities.
Yeah,
Those are good
yeah.
qualities.
But it's actually really hard to find that. It,
I also think just in general it's hard to find. It's hard to find that because I think it's hard to find that in anybody, in any person. It's hard to find somebody who actually listens to you, is actually curious about stuff, and is actually like seeking something out of life for themselves. Like it's just a rare person.
you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Well, on that note, no. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with all three of those. I mean, those are all.
It seems like they're so basic, but they're actually really. I mean, it's like yeah, duh, of course, but it's like no, but if you put them into action, to put them into action for real
I
is
mean, there's a lot
hard.
of people. It's hard to find people who are curious. I think that might be the hardest one. I think the hardest of those three is like finding somebody who is curious and somebody who listens to you. I would say curiosity is harder than somebody that listens to you because, dude, there's so like I talk to so many people who are just like, what? Like, like you see, you're like, hey, what do you think of this? And they're just like, I don't know. I don't really think about stuff like that. Like men, women, just any person. They're just like, what?
Why don't people? Why? Why?
I don't know. I think some people, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think some people find, and I mean, I don't even think some people. I think there's truth to the fact that there's comfort in ignorance. Like there's comfort in just having the life you have, doing that thing, and that's it. And you're like, oh, I'm comfortable with that. I don't think too much about that. That's just what I'm doing. I think
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think you're more forgiving about that than I am.
It's one of those things where it's like it's not my place to forgive. It's just like, all right, well, I don't want to talk to you. Like I'm not going to change this person into someone who's curious. I'm just going to go, all right, if you don't want to talk about, I don't know. I told you this one time. I was seeing somebody, or I went on like 2 dates with somebody, and the second date we were at our apartment, um, and I slept over. We didn't end up doing anything, but I ended up sleeping over. Uh, and then in the morning, I was just like talking about politics or something, or I was talking about just like something that happened in the news, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. It's kind of early for this kind of conversation." And then I was just like, "I don't want to. I'm good. I'm not gonna go on any more dates with this person." Because it was just like it was something so mundane too. It was I forget the specific thing of it, but it was something that was like you had to think a little bit about it, and she was just like, it's too early to think. Pretty that like basically that's the sentence she said in my brain. It's too early to think. And then I was like, how that's not going to be fun long term. Like I want to wake up with somebody in the morning and we're talking about
Anything?
if
Yeah,
the world's going to end. Like like
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But it's not,
A lot of
it's
people are like. A lot of people are. Yeah. They. It's like. I think the reason that I get so aggravated about it because I think it's a very simple thing to be intrinsically curious. I I really do think it only requires a person to connect a dot like you can have any interest
Uh-huh.
and you can connect so many different topics to that interest
Yeah.
if you want to become better or learn more about a topic that you like. For instance, like theater, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, like how can math be incorporated or like numbers be incorporated into theater? Well,
Hmm.
okay, like there's 75 Lort theaters. There's like I feel like I don't know. I just to become really good, I think, at what you love, it's really important to be curious about other topics, and that's the way to be intrinsically motivated to learn more about other things and to be curious is if is a true devotion to the thing that you love or you talk about as your profession,
Well, are
and
you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
oh
you
no
off.
no yeah, go for it, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say, are you? I guess this is the question: is that are you becoming? Because I guess I'm seeing it as people who it's not necessary for them to be curious. It sounds like you're getting frustrated at people who might be in like a similar have similar interests to you who aren't curious. Like like I'm forgiving or like don't care if it's somebody who's like I'm a salesman. That's my job. I just kind of like make sales, go have a drink with my buddies when COVID isn't murdering everyone in the country. And I have my wife or whatever it is. This simple
Yeah.
life of like that simple life they made for themselves. I'm wondering if does that bother you, or is it more somebody who's also an actor who also like wants to uh, 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 express themselves through art, like meeting
No,
someone like that who you're like, oh, they're not curious. That does that or do both frustrate you? Does one frustrate you?
see, I don't think either. I don't think like either frustrates me. I think actually it's really admirable for people to live the simple life, simple pleasures, just family, work, home,
Hmm.
church, or yeah, just like the simple
Whatever
life.
spiritual thing you like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Um, but I think the thing that annoys me is like because there are people who live like that, and there are people who wear a lot of different hats,
Hmm.
and may not be able to identify themselves as really anything, in terms of a profession. But
Hmm.
the way that they go about living is important. Like, do they question things,
Hmm.
or do they just live without question? Do they live with that? Do they just go through their normal day after day in their cubicle, not questioning anything? Or do they live day to day in their cubicle thinking like, oh man, like place could really be improved with this. Like maybe we can adjust that. Or, you can live a creatively fulfilling life
Uh-huh.
in a 9 to 5. I think it's just a matter
No, I
of
agree with that.
the
Yeah.
the mindset, and so I don't think that the way of life or the results of living, like in terms of a lifestyle, I don't think that um those equal a certain kind of mindset.
Hmm.
But the mindset that I think is the healthiest for our society and for everyone is a life where you don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
The less you take for granted, the better a world we'll build together, I think. That's my thought of it.
I agree with that. So it's more you feel like when someone's not curious, they're taking life for granted.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just think how beautiful the world is. Just think like it's it really gets me sad, like to think like you can walk outside and never see the trees, that are by your house, or of course you'll pass by them like most days, but like some people will never look at a tree that is literally sitting there, and there's a whole ecosystem in that tree, you know. And that's what people are like.
Yeah.
People are these crazy universes in themselves, and it's like, how could you pass by one human being and not be interested, you know, never be interested in one person that you see day after day after day after day. To me, that blows my mind.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going on a ramble, but I love it. I
No,
really
you're
love
all
talk.
good.
Dude, I love talking to you. I love. I just feel so. I feel like I'm not alone when I talk to you. You know, it's so nice.
I same here, man. Ditto.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel the same way talking to you. I hate it, and I feel very alone, and I
Yeah.
feel
You
no,
feel
yeah,
small
yeah.
and
I mean, if I saw a tree, I always make sure to see the tree, but then I cut it down and I light it on fire, and then I bring people around to watch it burn, and then I throw them onto the onto the flame to keep it going.
see, good, good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I take advantage of the fact that people are curious enough to come over and watch the flame, and I
shut
go,
the
"You got a lot of curiosity. I bet you wonder what it feels like to be in the fire." And I go, "What?" And I shove them in. Then before you know it, a whole cul-de-sac is on fire.
Do you think? Shut the. Okay,
Families are
shut.
dead,
This is stupid.
and I've appreciated life in that moment.
Do you ever? Oh
I
God.
appreciate life by sacrificing it. Anyway, what were you saying?
Okay. Have you ever wondered? Oh, this is gonna be great for the podcast. What is? It must be. I think I am an empath, right?
Uh,
Like I feel very, and I think you are too. But I think that sociopaths and empaths are so similar. Like, yeah, I like read this
okay,
checklist.
Joker.
I
No.
just I I just read this checklist of like, you know, what's the difference between psychopaths and sociopaths and stuff. And I just like the checklist for real empaths is very similar to sociopaths,
Yeah.
but they instead of like being engrossed in like or feeling like separated and like intrigued by violence,
Uh-huh.
you have an initial like drawback instead of like leaning in, like empaths draw back. And I think that's one of the major differences. And
Oh, that's interesting.
I just want like, do you ever wonder if you're a sociopath?
Yeah. Yes.
That's not
As a,
weird to ask, right? I feel
no,
like
I
it's a
don't think it.
scary question to ask.
I think a lot of people question that, especially when they see stuff like, especially when we have so much art that empathizes with sociopaths, or that like is about serial killers, and like, ooh, this is how like they're like normal people almost. I think a lot of people, like, especially if they digest that kind of stuff, they're like, oh, am I that? Like, why do I sympathize with somebody like this? Also, like, most of our movies are about people who kill people, and it's like, look at fucking Walter White. He's a sociopath. He's out of his fucking mind. But we all, a lot of people watch that show for the majority of watching it till the end. You side with him, and then I think stuff like that makes you question you in your everyday life. Like, why do I feel connected to these characters that are portrayed negatively? Or, people love Taxi Driver. People love the Joker now. The Joker is the new Taxi Driver, apparently. Um, but why do people connect with that? Like, are they sociopaths, or is it just that, I don't know, what is that? What is that makes people connect with that? It's like, and also to
Hmm.
appreciate those movies is to understand why you connect with that and why you also aren't that.
Hmm.
Because also a sociopath is a person at the end of the day. So we have, no matter what, you have a connection to every human being, because they all are human. Everyone is born the same way.
It's
Uh,
crazy. It's crazy that like there's this great book. I'm gonna write this down. The psychopath test. Um, that talks about how like um and there's an imbalance where the CEOs that run like the top Fortune 500 companies are sociopaths, have sociopathic
Tendencies.
tendencies, like attribute, and so it's true. And like sociopaths really only represent like less than 5% of the population, but they achieve these levels of power. And it's interesting to think like, could the structures of our society that we talk about all the time, right? Like, Bernie Sanders talks about like taking down the major institutions and the establishment and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But what if those establishments and institutions were built by psychopaths? And the
Yeah.
only people who have the energy or the will to get to places to change institutions and establishments are psychopaths themselves.
Yeah.
Like what if that's actually a major issue that we're missing here is that we need a real diversity of people who that aren't always assertive all the time.
Yeah.
Like we need people who are relaxed and laid back to also be part of the conversation too. And it's something that I was just mulling over the other day.
No, I think that makes sense, and it's a question to be asked of like, yeah, if replacing the sociopaths in the systems, if it takes a sociopath to run these systems, then replacing them would only be replacing it with another sociopath, because
Right.
that's the type of person who wants that goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's the argument with CEOs of like when people are like, well, there's mostly male CEOs. And it's like, of course, yeah, that's not, we want, you don't want just one gender having all the power like that. But also you got to look at it like this of like, do, even when even when everything's equal and the playing field is all perfect, it's like the type of person that ends up in that place of power is attracted to power. So how different are they going to actually be running that company? It's like once you get to running that company, I don't know, it might be different, but it might not. I don't know. I'm talking a
Jordan
little bit out of my
Peterson.
depth at this point, but
Yeah. No, Jordan Peterson talks about this though, right? Like
he
this
does,
is a
yeah.
major, which is really cool. He's a lot of people who I talk to aren't really fans of Jordan Peterson. I think he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah, he's he's not perfect like everybody. Um but I think the core of his message of responsibility is a hard one to say is bad.
No.
I think people end up disliking him when it gets to like the political spectrum because he's very like he kind of is weird with politics. Like he doesn't ever specify what he believes in the political spectrum. So I think that's largely what happened with the backlash of him is that uh, his initial thing was positive, or like his whole 12 rules for life thing seems positive. At least I don't know. I haven't read the book, but I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with um, someone try. It seems like his major goal is to pull lost uh lost young people out of darkness, and I think that that's a good thing. And then I think people uh because that message is so powerful to a lot of people, I think people ask him a lot of other questions, or like they try and talk to him about other things that aren't within his realm of understanding or even talking about. Like I've seen
Hmm.
him in conversations where it's like he clearly, like he even himself admits, like I don't know what I'm talking. Like I don't, you know.
Yeah, he's a little out of his specialty, his expertise.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's an interesting conversation to have with him. Of like, I do like talking to people who don't like him because I like to know why.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah. I
What
think it's also
is
a lot of his associations. Like he went on Ben Shapiro and stuff like that, and then that inherently makes you political automatically. You know, from the viewpoint of other people, is like, oh, you
yeah.
like talk to Ben Shapiro, you must agree with his ideology. Da 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 da.
Yeah, guilty by association. People can't
Yeah.
just like have other yeah, if you have like a conservative person on your show, then you're automatically conservative,
Then you must be yeah. It's a weird thing. It's like I've listened to a lot of Milo Yiannopoulos, uh, but I think he's a a dumb fuck. I think he's like just a provocateur and not a very good one. I think he's like it's very transparent what he does. He just like he just tries to get people angry. Uh, and I don't think he believes in a lot if any of the things he says. I think he's just there for chaos's sake. And I don't like him. Like I think it's weird when people talk to him. But I don't know. I don't think there are certain people who have talked to him that like Joe Rogan had him on his podcast, and to me, watching that was interesting because I thought that it was good to see somebody like that in a platform where you couldn't be perfect or hide from your inadequacies. I don't know. I thought there were a lot of moments in that podcast with him where it was like a lot of the things he believes were like Joe pushed against them, and then there were a lot of moments where Milo Yiannopoulos was like his ideas were pushed against, and then instead of defending his ideas, he would then just start flirting with Joe. And it was an interesting thing of like, oh, this guy. It's very clear to me he doesn't know what he's talking about or care. He's just saying provocative things.
What is this guy's name?
Milo Yiannopoulos. I mean, you don't need to promote him.
Well, no, I think it'd be interesting to. I think it'd be interesting to like just post the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, with him?
Yeah, in the description.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah.
Because I've never heard of the guy.
He went on Bill Maher. He kind of blew up from Bill Maher, and then what happened was a clip from Joe Rogan's podcast kind of took him out because he was talking about how he had sex with. He was like jokingly talking about having sex with somebody he was jokingly talking about child molestation, but then it was hard to know if he was joking, and then that fucked him up real bad.
Oh God.
And then ever since then, he's kind of been like
on the outskirts.
He's a weird guy. I mean, listen, dude, I'm a type of person who will watch. There was an interview with Alex Jones and Milo Yiannopoulos, and I watched that laughing hysterically for like an hour. So
yeah, just because
of people I don't agree with, you know.
Well, I do the same thing. Like I enjoy watching some speakers who their views are just so ridiculous that it's just like how can you think that and then you laugh to yourself and you think this is ridiculous. And I think I think I'm becoming more attuned to the people who take those interviews seriously, like when they watch it and they can't laugh about it, because it's like literally there's a person here who has a platform who is now speaking about those ideas, and there's an audience out there who may not be sitting there laughing at how ridiculous it is. They may actually be listening and being convinced of this person's point, and there's a danger to it, but in the long term, I think it's good because I believe that the most loving and empathetic and rational, truly, ideas beat out those people,
But also the thing for me is, and right or wrong, who knows? Because I'm just an asshole on a microphone. But part of the reason why I like listening to stuff like that is so that if I encounter somebody who likes Alex Jones a lot and is like, oh, Alex Jones speaks the truth, then I know exactly what he said, and I can be like, oh, this is why I think it's ridiculous, because I heard him say it. Because the first thing people like to do is go, well, you never even watched it. You don't even know what he said. You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. But if you are somebody who watched the person that somebody likes like that, that's the biggest thing I see with people who argue about stuff like that. Like somebody who loves Alex Jones, like you've never heard Alex Jones, so why would I listen to what you're saying? But if I'm somebody who's listened to it, understands what he's saying, and I have a reasoning for why I think it's ridiculous, I can talk to somebody calmly and say, oh, this is why I think it's ridiculous. And then you make somebody who might have believed in that go, oh, okay, well, let me question what I was thinking.
Yeah. You've watched the primary source, and no one can debate you on the fact.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But also a lot of people, I understand people who are just like, well, I don't want to even talk to people like that. I'm like, yeah, all right, that's your prerogative. But um, I think that there needs to be people who are tolerant of. I think you're allowed. I think there are plenty of people who don't need to talk to people like that, but I think there are also a lot of people who, if you have the ability to talk to somebody you disagree with, you should, because it's not gonna, it can't do anything but help.
You're absolute. That was so well said. That's so well said.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I wish I had the time on here because I would say like there's a great point by Jake at this time.
Well, it's 9:35 right now.
So, I don't know how long we've been. Probably now a little out after over an hour.
Yeah.
Um, like with you doing like your podcast and stuff, and also being a an avid Joe Rogan watcher, which I wish I wish I listened to more. Like, are there any things that he does? Like, what makes Joe Rogan like a really good interviewer or conversationalist? Like,
Well, I think he's like what you said. Like he's very curious. I think he listens really well, and he's very curious. Um, so that just creates good conversation. He always knows what to ask, and he always and he's never forcing anything. He genuinely like has a lot of questions and wants to know things. So then he just naturally gets a lot of information out of people and puts people at ease, because when you're talking to somebody who's genuinely interested in what you're saying, it becomes easier to say more things to them, because you're like, oh, I'm not burdening this person, I'm not bothering this person, they want to know what I'm saying. um but also it's a thing, like I watch him, and I like, there's times when I disagree with him. I'm just somebody who, like, I like listening. I don't I don't really want to listen to I'm right radio. Like, I don't want to listen to something where it's like I'm agreeing with this person 100% of the time. I don't think that's interesting. I don't think that stimulates your mind. Like, I'll watch uh I usually watch it based on the guests that he has, but I'll watch it if it's a guest that I disagree with or a guest that I do agree with. Um, I think whether you like Joe Rogan or not, that podcast is an interesting setting in that, like, he makes people open up for a long period of time where you can't really get that anywhere else. And I think that's the reason why he's so big, is that people who don't you don't have to like him or know anything about him to be engaged with his podcast. Like, my roommate, my old roommate, she loves rock climbing, and that rock climbing guy was on a
oh, the
couple
guy
of
from
times.
Free Solo,
Yeah,
right?
I think he was
Yeah.
on like once or twice, and she listened to both of those, and she was like fascinated by it. And it's because, like, this guy, when does he ever have a 3-hour conversation with somebody? Um, and then he has doctors on. He has like so many different people where it's like all these people from all walks of life will just be like, oh, that's an interesting person I've heard of. Let me go listen to 3 hours of them talking. So,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, some people hate him. They really don't like Joe Rogan, but I don't know. I think even if you don't like him, it's not a. He has a lot of people on. I mean, he had Killer Mike on, which, like, I know a lot of people who love Killer Mike who would be like, the Joe Rogan podcast is fucking bad, and I'm like, well, Killer Mike was on it, and it was a very interesting conversation. Um,
I'd like to see that. I don't think I've ever seen Killer Mike really speak
oh,
much.
it's really good. He's a very fucking. I mean, he's just like one of the smartest people I've ever watched talk. Like,
Wow.
he's just so connected with everything, I feel like.
I watched. Did were you told me about Joe Rogan and Crystal Ball, right?
Oh yeah, he had
That
the
they
hill on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I watched that one, and it was just so great, and it's so funny that that section where Crystal Ball is like, I go home and my Wi-Fi sucks, but it's actually great because like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
disconnected from the world, and it's just really funny to hear someone who has 600,000 subscribers now and is becoming the kind of the pinnacle of anti-establishment news to have bad Wi-Fi at home.
I know,
Like
yeah.
it's just it's fun. Yeah, I need to. So I'm going to put on I'm going to put the link onto a few of these Joe Rogan things.
And then they were like, what the fuck did they say? Oh, they're like, oh, it's probably a good thing. And then other things that you would have tweeted out immediately, you got to think about now.
Yeah.
Which is true. You get back to the olden days where it's like if you had something hateful to say, you had to mail it, and by the time you got to the post office, you're like, I'm not going to send that. But now it's just like, let me say this hateful thing immediately, and then it's on the internet.
Like for your podcast, like, what do you think? Like, how do you think it's evolved over the past now 71 episodes, 71 weeks, really?
I think it's evolved. I don't know. I'm much more comfortable on it, I think, than I was initially.
Yeah, we talked about that just a few days ago.
Yeah. I think I'm just more comfortable. I think I want to start doing more guests on it and stuff. Get better at that, at talking to somebody else. You can never be on it though. Absolutely not.
Yes!
You can't be on it. But
Yes!
also it's a thing where like I don't really want to do guests until I can be face to face. Like I don't like I like what we're doing right now, but like I don't know if I want to do that for my podcast. Like it's
yeah, this is yeah.
But
I think
maybe
the whole conceit for mine is to try to just reach people who are from like, all different parts of my life and different places
areas,
in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I love it. I love the idea. I'm liking being on it, dude. It's fun. I'm having fun talking to you.
I love this.
We're gonna have to cut out all of it, but
it'll all go in post, right? I don't have any editing material.
We're gonna have to cut out 50% of this podcast, but that's all good, dude. That's not a big deal. But you're gonna have to cut out 50% of this. Okay?
Okay.
The whole last hour.
Don't say that. The last hour is going to be the best. That's when we're going to start drinking.
Hell yeah. Do you want to start doing some shots? I haven't drank since
Do you?
March 15th.
Do you want to?
I haven't drank since March 15th.
Dude, let's do a few shots.
I don't have any liquor.
Your parents don't drink?
No.
They drink.
Not really. They do,
yes.
But my dad drinks some beer, but there's no like alcohol. I never drink with my family either. I don't know. Like the other, like on Father's Day, my dad was like, "You want a glass of wine?" I was like, "Nah." At family events too, I never drink. I don't know why. You probably have seen me drink the most out of anybody I know.
Yeah, you don't really drink. You actually really don't drink much. You drink Guinness. You're Guinness and.
Yeah, but I do like that's the thing is that like I got to a point where I was like, no, I drink a lot. Like not now. I mean, I haven't drank since. I think it's I liked going to the library. The library is a bar that me and Kenny used to go to a lot. But I would also just go there alone because I ended up becoming friends with the people who worked there. And I mean, dude, there were weeks where I was drinking like 30 beers a week. Like I was drinking a lot. Like I started counting and then I was like, dude, I'm a drinker. I don't know how this happened.
Yeah, some of those Saturday nights, it would just be like 6 hours of just drinking. After clowning, I'd have that clown cash and I'd just I'd ask.
Blow it on alcohol.
I'd spend $100 on well, I'd get a little we'd get a good discount. We'd get a really good discount.
I mean, that's part of the reason why we went is that
I think I probably had like 8 mixed drinks and picked maybe $45 plus tip.
Yeah. There's been a lot of times where it's like
in New York.
Wait, 3 beers? I didn't have to pay for 3 of those beers?
Yeah.
Depending on the night, sometimes I would go and I would like have like 3 beers. I'd be charged for 1. And I'd be like, bye.
I think Kristen probably gave me the best discounts.
Yeah. Well, everybody gave me one. No.
Well, who didn't give me one? What's her face? The one that went on Wednesday.
Listen, dude, we don't have to talk about this kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, you never know who's gonna.
Is this being recorded, bro?
Whatever. Hey.
I love everyone who works there.
Everyone there. Oh, right. Okay.
I love 99% of the people who work there.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names about the.
The
Dude, we
ones
should.
who know that I love them know that I love them.
Dude, we should.
The ones who I don't like don't
They know.
know enough of anything to know that I don't like them.
Dude, where's Mike right now?
Dead.
Dude, Mike is this guy who like worked at a penitentiary or something like that. Yeah, I
He's a
think he worked
piece
at
of shit.
I think he worked at a mental hospital. And he'd be like, "What would he call me?" He'd be like, "Oh, yeah, the party man or something." No.
The fox.
The fox.
Dude, the fox. Dude, where's the fox at? Dude, you guys are wild.
It's like this 50-year-old guy.
Yeah, but then anytime a woman would be with us, he'd be like, "What? Who are these girls?" And I was like, "Ah, you're a piece of shit, man. You suck." Every woman who ever met him was like, "This guy's. I hate this guy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Let's get away from him."
Dude, I loved him. He was weird, definitely weird,
He
but
was fine if he was just talking to us, but the moment women came around, I was like, "Oh, okay, I can see the piece of shit in him. Like, I can see that he's
mm,
not." I mean, he was gross to women. I saw him. I don't know. Not even
that's
gross. He's just like I would see him like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it's like, "Dude, stop. What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? I
dude.
don't
You
know.
know what? It's something. I'm actually. I think my bias towards liking him made me completely blind to any of
Not
that.
see that stuff.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
Well, that's
weird. Interesting, right? Yeah,
that's the
interesting.
problem with men, and you're one of the bad ones. And I'm gonna fucking kill you, dude.
One of the problem men.
You're a bad guy, and I'm gonna kill you. But
No.
also, you might not have been as. I mean, I probably saw him more times than you saw him, so I might have just had more instances of him. And I've also been there a couple times with friends of mine who are women, who then he thought like, oh, they're friends of his, I can talk to them, and then he would like try and flirt or so. Also, there was a lot of stuff where like I would walk away, and then he would talk to them, and then they would tell me like, oh,
Yeah, he was being
he was just being
weird.
weird, yeah. So
Interesting.
anyway, Kenny, it's a good friend of Kenny's. He's a great guy. According to Kenny, he's a wonderful man.
Wait, what did I tell? Oh man, I wish I could find those texts. What did he? Oh, there was a guy who wanted to sell me like a nebulizer or something that one
Oh
night. Remember
yeah.
that?
Oh yeah.
I forget that. Man,
Remember when you came
all those
drunk?
times.
Remember when you came
Who?
wasted on wine?
When was that?
You you were at some lady who you fancied apartment. Some lady who you fancied's apartment. I think that's grammatically correct. Right by me. Remember, she lived right by me, and you guys were drinking, and everyone was drinking wine. It was some like party,
Yes,
going away
yes,
party, I think.
yes.
And then you showed up to the library. You're like, Jake, so much happened. I gotta. And I was like, all right, come on down. And then you came. And then Miles was like, you can't come in. And then I had to tell Emma, I was like, Kenny's at the door, but he's not being let in. And you were like, you sounded fine. But then I turned around and you were like, Jake. And I was like, oh, dude, don't let him in. He's fucking.
Oh my
But then they
god.
let you in. You were fine. Like, you didn't. You ended up talking to people all night. Like, you were fine.
Of course. Hey, what else is new?
You just physically were falling over.
Man, I had to sit down. I had to get some water in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, all those times. Do you remember New Year's Eve when you went to it was there was a that thing in Brooklyn, right? It was like a I forget what it was.
Yeah,
It was
when
like a
my friend had a seizure.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can keep going. Yeah, we were at a
Yeah,
bar in Brooklyn. It was an improv show.
we went to the improv and then we left and you were like, "Oh, my fuck." And I was like, hey, hey, we're going to the library. You're like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're going." And then we went to the library. That was New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I hated that bar in Brooklyn.
And then we met that Charlie Chaplin impersonator
Yeah,
that night.
yeah, we were talking to her. And, but then you were like, I got somebody from Clowns that I've been talking to, and I was like, invite her. And then you were like, should I? And then you invited her. And then you ended up dating her. Remember?
Yeah, that was wow.
Yeah. Me and
That
Kenny
was
used to work
that
at a
night.
clowning company. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
That
my
was that
gosh,
night.
that's right. Yeah, we got wow. I totally forgot about that whole section. Yeah, her and her
Yeah,
cousin came, and
and
her
then we
other
ruined
friend.
we ruined the midnight. Do you remember that? We said it
No, I
slightly
don't.
early,
No,
and she
you hate
was
that shit.
she
You
was
always hate that.
pissed. I was just like, it was also annoying because she was like, actually, I was looking it up to make sure that it was like specifically the time. So you guys actually did it early, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then she was like, nah, like I don't care. And I was like, but you do care. You cared
Are you
because you
talking
just
about?
brought it
Is
up.
this Kristen that you were talking about?
It doesn't matter who we're talking
Oh,
about, bro.
oh, oh, okay. Oh, hey, it's fine. Hey, Kristen's not going to be watching this podcast.
That's true. No, yeah, it was her. Yeah, remember she got all mad, and
Yeah.
then I was like, dude,
Yeah.
what are you getting mad about? And then she was like, "Oh, I'm not mad." And then I was like, "But you are. You're like, I can see it on your face. You're fucking steaming." And also, it
That
was a
was crazy.
combination of I felt bad because like it was something she cared about, and then we fucked it up. But whatever. It
Oh,
was by accident. We were just going based on our phones. I didn't know there
that
was
was
some specific alternate time that she was going by. You know?
yeah. There should have there was no like master clock there. You know that's what you have to have. You have to have
Yeah.
a big neon master clock or something so that people can know. We can all go in it together. Yeah. Wow. That was a crazy night.
She also didn't say it like exactly what you said. Like she should have had a master clock because she didn't say anything to us. If she said to me, "Hey, we're going based off this thing," I would have shut the fuck up. I wouldn't have said anything. Yeah, and then Josh showed up. Yeah,
So yeah, yeah something happened with him, and
yeah,
but he ended up being okay.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, yeah,
Man,
yeah,
dude, library, unbelievable. I've
yeah.
mentioned it several times here in Florida, and someone's
And
yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you keep talking about that, and
you
I'm
are you
like,
you an alcoholic?
the answer is yes. The answer is yes, dude.
When we're together, kind of.
Yeah, when we are to, I've been really good this year. Well, no, not this. I mean, this past dude, New Year's Eve, the past few years has been nuts. Every New Year's Eve for the past 4 years has something crazy has happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, this past year was not a good one. It was good, and then it wasn't good.
yeah. Me too, man. This past one was it was bad.
What happened in yours that you would want to share?
Uh,
I
no, it was just I
forget.
don't know. It was like I went to the library, but it was just like I don't know. It was a weird. I was like, why am I? I don't need to be here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's nice to be there and like the people were working that I really like. It was nice to see them, but I was with a very close friend of mine, and we were having a nice time. But it was like I don't know. There was somebody from like abroad who I had been talking to. Someone from abroad.
Right, I know. Yeah, it's yeah. It's good that
I
you
wasn't
made
being
that
a
distinction.
1950s guy.
There was a bra,
Someone
the
someone
back room.
from a
Oh,
different
that's
part of the world.
right. That's right.
And she was like back for New Year's for some reason. And then we were talking, and then it seemed like we might meet up, and then she was like, "Oh, maybe if I have time." And then but I was also a thing where like we shouldn't have met up. It's totally cool that we didn't meet up. It makes sense that we didn't meet up. Like I don't know her that well. I'm just some guy she's been chatting with from afar away, you know? And we also weren't like chatting like every day. It was like we were chatting a little bit, then we stopped, then we chatted, then we stopped, and I saw that she was here, and I was like, oh. Um, but yeah, I guess I was just like it was a little bit of, it would have been nice to have met up with that person, and then that didn't happen. And then I was just like at the same place I've been to 3 years in a row on New Year's. It's just like it was a moment where I was like really feeling deeply like it's time for a change, you know?
Oh, that's real. That is
Yeah.
real.
But
Yeah, it's strange. Like, it's not. Now getting older, with me being 29 and you at this point being 27.
yes.
Yeah, like, just like it's not really it's not really about the number, but like the amount of experiences does change things, you know.
Yeah.
Like going to the I mean, now it's like I haven't been to the library in a year. It would be nice to go back like for a few weeks, you know.
It's
Like
not even, yeah.
but yeah, but once you kind of do that for 3 or 4 years, yeah, it's time to change. So things just naturally shift. You know.
It's also like we're getting like, that's something to do in your early 20s. Like go out to a bar, find a bar you like, hang out with people, get into crazy situations. And then, we're old enough now where it's like, all right, too old for that shit.
I'm glad. I'm so glad that that was part of my life, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you ride for a while of like, well, this is the time to do it. This is the time to like stay out till 4 a.m. drinking, meet
Yeah.
random people, go to their apartment.
Yeah. Go to their apartment on Easter
On the
Easter
day before Easter. I
morning.
have to wake up in the morning like, oh fuck, I gotta go see my family.
Literally hook up with a girl named Faith on Easter. Isn't that amazing? Oh God.
That was fucking nut. I slept 2 hours, I think, and then I was like, woke up. I woke up and was like, I gotta go to Easter. And she was like, I was like, are you doing anything for Easter? She's like, no. And I was like, I gotta go to my parents' house an hour away. I gotta get a train. What am I doing right now? Went to bed at like 7 in the morning. The sun was coming up when we were going to bed.
I remember you saying that.
I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta be there at like 1. No, I gotta be there at like noon.
Did I? I think I left around 4. No.
No,
No.
no, because we
Later.
stayed till the bar was closed. So you probably left at like 5 or 6.
Wow.
We left when the bar was, or maybe we didn't leave. I think the bar was closing. We might have left the bar at like 3:30, maybe.
Yeah, I think we left. Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. Yeah, and there was like this nice townhouse like on Broadway, right? It was like, or
Yeah, she
right?
was dog sitting. What happened was I started talking to somebody. Remember we were talking to that guy all night? I think he was pissed or something. We were talking to this guy all night.
Was it the Irish guy? No.
No, we were talking to some dude. He was kind of a asshole. I've seen him there after this, but he was talking about like some book he was writing or something.
I don't remember.
Neil, something with an N, his name. Nikolai. But we're talking
Hmm.
to him all night about like books and like he's writing a book. We're talking about like art and all this shit. And then something happened where I was like talking about how it's weird. I caught the eye of the girl who we ended up going to the place
We
she was
could
dog
just say
sitting.
the name. That's
No, 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 no,
funny.
no.
Okay, you
Dude, out of
want to you
respect, bro.
cool. Cool.
Robin, I'll say. Her name's Robin.
Robin.
That's not
Okay.
her name. But Robin, Robin, what's the fuck name? Batman and Robin. We met up with Batman and Robin. That's what we'll call it.
Great.
So Robin, I saw Robin out of the corner of my eye. I was like, did she look at me? Like I felt like she was looking at me. I was definitely looking at her. And then I ended up saying like, we ended up talking about something, and then I said to the bartender who I'm friends with, I was like, it's weird to date somebody with the same name again. And she was like, yeah, that's totally weird. And I was like, see, I think I was trying to say that to you guys, and you guys were saying it wasn't weird. And then Emma was like, it is weird. And then I was like, it is, right? And she goes, no, that's only you who thinks that. So then I just, in a very confident, just in a very strange, impulsive maneuver, I got up and was like, well, let's ask everybody. Like, what do you guys think? And then I was
Right.
like,
Oh man, I
ah.
totally forgot about that. Yeah.
And then she looked at me like, oh, you're talking to me? And then I was like, yeah, what do you think it's weird? And then I started talking to her. And then some other guy was like, yeah, it's weird if she says your last name. And I was like, what? Anyway, and then
Oh,
that
you're
became a
right.
good thing
Totally
because
forgot about that.
then we made fun of him. And that was a good, nothing better to talk to somebody who you're interested in than having somebody you can make fun of. So we shit on that guy together. Yeah. And then we ended up, she was like, you guys want to come to my, want to come to my townhouse? I'm dog sitting. You want to come with us? And I was like, it's like 3:30 in the morning. All right. But that guy was like pissed because then all of a sudden we stopped talking to him.
Yeah, that's everyone. You always get someone mad. Not you, but like whenever those escapades are happening,
Oh, somebody, yeah.
someone always gets the short end of the stick.
This guy kept coming up too, which was funny. I guess this guy was like trying to talk to her earlier, and she wasn't interested. But as I was talking to her, this guy kept coming up and being like being like, "Oh, okay, I see you found somebody else. Okay, that's good. No, it's all good, man. No, yeah, yeah, dude. No, yeah, dude, you're doing it. Yeah, she's into you, dude. It's all good." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I just laughed it off. I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. Something happened?" He's like, "No, no, dude. I talked to her before, but she's not into me, man. She's not into me. She's into you." And I was like, "All right,
All right, bye. I don't know
yeah.
you. I
See you
don't know
later,
you at
man.
all. Yeah.
Anyway, can I get your number, Robin?"
Uh,
And then she said something to me akin to your. See, this is why I connected so deeply with you when your ex said to you, uh, you'd be sexier if you laughed
laugh.
less,
Mhm.
because
It,
she said to me, uh, what's it called? What she said to me? She said something like, "Oh, she
I
said
I want you to prove, or I.
she
Yeah.
she she found out that I was a comedian, and then once she found that out, she stopped laughing at things I would say." And I was like, "What? It seems like you're like laughing less." And she's like, "Oh no, I just want to challenge you, and I know you can handle it." And I was like, "Challenge me? You want to what? No, uh, bye." What the fuck? Yeah,
Yeah,
she wanted
like
to.
intentionally not laugh at things that she found funny
Yeah,
because
dude,
she
I'm gonna go
wanted to.
bomb in front of a ton of people, and then I'm gonna go to somebody who I want to kiss and have a good time with, and then bomb in front of you. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. No
Yeah,
one
that's
laughing.
yeah, that was the right decision, even though you have have wondered sometimes if it was the right decision. It was the right decision to make.
Well, that's why I was wondering about with, and I was gonna say earlier, but I didn't ask. But with Alex, because you feel you're still mourning that. Um, it seems like you think of her very fondly, but do you like there must have been things that the things that always ground me into uh the decision I made is I'm always like, oh, I missed that person. Was that the right decision? But then I always go like, well, why did I break up with them? And then I go, oh, that's the reason. Oh yeah, that sucks. That's unbearable. That's why it was a good decision. Do you have that with her of like things that you can remember and go like, yeah, see, it was good that we
See,
didn't.
no, but I think that's one of the reasons that it was really hard to it was a really awful breakup is because I just didn't really want to do long distance in college.
Yeah.
And that's just how it went, and it was just a very messy breakup, and we didn't yeah, it was like a strange kind of through the years there were still kind of feelings that were left unsaid, but we would talk to each other, and but I think eventually what happened is that like we both hit a point where we were both leading different lives and had different priorities as to
Oh.
work and places,
Yeah.
like for me, I'm very much kind of like I do not really want to be around home, whereas like for her I think she doesn't mind as much. So I and that and also like she travels a ton, and but what's really cool is that, and I really am, it's taken a long time, but like we are at a place now where we can, we talk, and we still like communicate so effortlessly. It's really, I feel very fortunate that I've dated the people that I have, and then some other people that I've dated, I'm glad that I don't talk to them anymore.
For sure.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
But that makes it
yeah.
all the harder is that you it's very clear to you of like, no, it's still really good talking to this person, and there's other people who are like, I know for a fact, oh, I'm glad I don't talk to them. So that kind of makes it more difficult because you're like, oh, but I know this is so good with this talking to this person.
What's been difficult for me, and I know this, is that is are like I think relationships are a little easier to figure out over like friendships, like when there are friends that you hang out with that like you feel are toxic to you, but you just habitually are hanging out with them. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, how do I? And I think you know who I'm talking about. Maybe you remember.
I don't know. I remember the olden days who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that
Oh,
person.
okay.
Yeah, I mean that's really the only. That was really hard because this person who was a friend of mine would, I would pay for a lot of his stuff. He would never really pay for anything. Um, he would like arrive late pretty much. I mean, he didn't communicate very well, and
Hmm.
I was like, man, like this. I enjoy hanging out with him, but it's really hard to actually enjoy being with him.
Hmm.
And I didn't feel like he really brought me up. Um, wasn't that great of a listener, and then like having to slowly distance away from that without completely being like, in a breakup in a relationship, I feel like it's appropriate to like sit down with a person and talk to them about it face to face. But when I, I don't feel like that's that appropriate with a friend who you're not like intimate with, or
Yeah, yeah,
very like best friends with.
yeah. It's hard to know how close you are with someone where you can confidently be like, "Hey, let's talk about that interaction," and they'll be receptive to it. But maybe that's
Yeah,
also how you know if it's a close friend, like if it's a friend you
that's
want or not. You
that's
know?
it too. That's it too. Yeah, yeah. Like, are you willing to sit down and have an uncomfortable conversation? He wasn't
Yeah,
at a point where like I don't think that I actually care. Like I almost cared enough to, which
yeah,
sounds so awful,
yeah.
but that's the truth. That's how I felt. So
I mean, yeah, no, yeah. There are people in your life who you're friends with, but then you realize, like, well, I'm not really like we're friends, but I don't want to see them. Like I don't want to see. I don't know. This time especially makes you think about that. Like there's certain people who are like you're very
exactly.
close to, but you're like I don't. Do I actually care about those people? And that's also to tie into the sociopath thing. Like lately, I've been wondering that about myself. Of like, am I a sociopath? Because there's a lot of people who I'm thinking about, and I'm like, there's people who I think about who I'm not that close with, but I am like, oh, I hope they're doing well. I would like to talk to them or see them again. And there's people who I'm like apparently close with, who I'm like, I don't need to talk to them. I don't care at all. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. Right now is strange for relationships.
How do you think that you've changed or your view of relationships has changed in COVID?
Well, friendships I feel have been kind of the same because I've always operated on like, oh, you're only really close friends with your close friends. Like, I think already I had very few amount of people who I'm like, oh, that's my close friend. And there's a lot of like tangential friends or like people I know but I don't care about that much. Um, I think I've operated in a way that might be more new for people in this time. Because I think a lot of people keep up with a lot of people, but I only keep up with a few people. So in COVID, where it becomes this thing where it's like, oh, you only keep up with, you find out like who you want to actually keep up with. I already was keeping up with that few amount of people. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think relationship wise, like finding the love of your life, I think like that. Uh, I've become more like um I would like to just find somebody and like date them and I've realized that like I've been selfish in ways that I didn't realize were selfish. Um or I was immature in ways where I didn't realize I was being immature. Me thinking I was mature was actually me like fighting like the responsible thing to do or me fighting like growing up, you know?
Do you have an anecdote or a specific instance that you're thinking of?
Well, I think things with my most recent ex of like there were relationship type elements where I could have been more like uh I could have been more engaged than indifferent. I feel like I was indifferent in a way that was like kind of selfish. Where it's like, yeah, we're just together. Yeah, we're just doing that. We're just doing this. Instead of actively being engaged in it and being like, well, what do I want from this person? Like, where do I want this to go? Like, I wasn't thinking about any of those things. I was just kind of thinking about like myself and like what my life was, uh, and basically being like, well, I was thinking of my life as separate from this person, rather than thinking
Oh,
about like, oh, well, I'm with somebody, so our lives are, if we're going to be together, our lives become
wow.
like together, like we have a joint life. Uh, I think that's why we broke up. I think that inevitably became a thing of like, oh, clearly, like we were just living our own lives, but we dated instead of it being like, oh, we're dating and we're trying to like figure out what a life together would be. You know?
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I still thinking, wow, that's fascinating to me. I hadn't thought of it really that way. Because I still think that I think in the way that you were talking about is as not um like working towards like yeah, I just think about for me and my recent relationships
Yeah.
like oh like I'm doing my thing and then this person is doing their thing
Mhm.
and we're just doing our things together
Yeah.
as compared and it's true what that does is it prioritizes me, it doesn't
Yeah.
prioritize the duo, right? Yeah, there's a fear there. I think there's still a fear there for me. I don't.
Mhm.
Maybe, or I think maybe I think my fear actually is that if I prioritize the duo, then all of my creative habits and wants and motivations side will be put to the side,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that for me has very much been a priority for me. I mean, has been a priority for me the last really 10 years. I mean,
Uh-huh.
at least seven, at least since I've been in New York. So, yeah, I'm glad you said that actually, because it's making me think.
Well, yeah, it also becomes, and also, I also think it's kind of a lie that we tell ourselves because I think, I don't know, a lot of people's art grows and becomes better when they're in a relationship because they just continue to live their life and be like, you don't lose the creativity that you have. You're either, in my opinion, you're either a creative person or you're not. And if, like, whatever experiences you have, if you want to, you can put them into something. So, like, if anything, having that joint thing with that person would just open your mind up to a different kind of life and you would just be living a different kind of life that you would just express yourself differently through, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It like by switching your kind of paradigm from individual to duo, you open up a new perspective to yourself, to your own art.
Yeah.
It's a transition of perspective. Interesting. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's yeah, Jake,
Also,
that's brilliant. Yeah.
um, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, all I was saying is that you were brilliant, but
Well
also
then I do mean to cut you off.
you're
Okay, well then
dumb
I'm gonna
piece of
cut you off.
shit.
I'm gonna cut you the fuck off then. No, but uh brilliant. You know what,
Dude,
dude? You gotta watch what you say, dude. My dick is big. That's a
dude, I
callback
wish
to
you
the
were over
beginning.
there. I wish
That's a
you were over
callback,
here.
bro.
I could give you a big bear hug.
Give me a hug, yeah, right. You're trying to measure my fucking dick to yours, bro. No, um, what was I gonna say? So dating, togetherness.
The do
Oh, I guess I've also been thinking about this because right now you start to think of like priorities, and you're like, you know, um, well, I wasn't really sacrificing anything by being with her. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have been more engaged in being with her and still continue to do what I was like my thing. Uh, um, and it's like, what's really important? I mean, human connection is important. Human connection is like your art only exists through human connection and having a life. So it's more important to have a life than to tell it through art. Like the telling through art should like does come secondary. That's how it is important, I guess, is because you have a life first and foremost, and then you after having a life and having experiences, then you can convey something meaningful, you
So
know?
that's interesting, right? Like, what does it mean to have a life? Does it mean like confronting fear, like putting yourself out there, risking? Is that what you mean by that?
I think it means pursuing something more than yourself. That's what I'm starting to think. It's just is I think maybe I've spent too much time inside of my head or in myself when I should be spending time on people or building relationships with people that are lasting. I've done it. I've built relationships with people. I mean, we're great friends, like, you know, but
Yeah, you have a lot. Yeah.
it's, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe just, I guess specifically in like dating, like I think I should be, the next person I'm with, I'm think I'm going to try harder to figure out what it is to be with someone rather than like just having someone with you, you know?
For you, what do you think is that like theoretically? I agree. Like switching the idea of thinking of yourself as a duo instead of just them being there, just being there, right? Like practically in terms of like your habits,
Uh-huh.
what do you think do you think that what do you think is going to be the hardest thing for you to adjust in yourself to be able to shift to that paradigm?
Um, it's just sacrificing time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Jake.
uh,
Yeah.
just being like,
Yeah.
you know, my time with somebody else is I should give this person my time rather than be like, my time is so important, I have to do this other thing. And then it's like I invest my time in so much other bullshit that it's like it'd be more meaningful to invest it. And it's like it's a weird thing where you're like, oh, I need this much time so I can do the bullshit I want to do and then also be productive. And it's like, well, maybe you should just stop doing the bullshit you want to do and then have a productive relationship and also be productive, you know? I think it's
Mm.
like getting older is sacrificing playtime. You know, you're getting older, you can't be fucking around so much. You just can't.
Wow. Yeah. Dude, yeah. That's isn't that weird? Like, yeah, we need that 3 hours of YouTube time to be able to write three
Yeah,
pages.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I need to play a video game for 3 hours. I can't see you. Okay. Because then if I see you, I'm going to see you for 3 hours. And then what? And then I'm going to have to play a video game for 2 hours. And then what? Right for 15 minutes? No. You're out. I'm going to play video games for an hour and jerk off afterwards and then fucking write for 3 hours. Okay.
Oh, that's so true.
And it's like, no, just cut out the video games and masturbation and have a living human in your life who you
Dude,
can care
masturbation has to
about.
be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Man.
Of cutting it out. Yeah. No. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's also a thing of like, I think that's like, it's time to grow up. Like growing up is also caring about somebody, you know? I don't know. In a time like this, it's like, I think it's also why people are not, people who are, I think a lot of people who are alone right now are feeling very nihilistic and very just like, what the fuck is the point? And it's because they don't have anyone. Like that's the real thing is that you have somebody who you care for and like you become Like that's what matters. Like the people you care for is what propels you towards having a better life. If it's just you and you yourself are a depressive person, you know, you just slip into like, well, you know, I don't have like no one's relying on me. Like I don't, so it's all about me. I don't know. I think yeah, it's also a
Hmm.
weird thing. I think that it's just happening naturally with our generation because we're so, for good or bad. Like I don't think a family is like a universal thing everyone has to have. But I do think there's something to uh, the fact that more people had kids back in the day. I think that made people feel more of a purposeful life more easily. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's harder to search for a purpose when it's all existential. I think.
Yeah, and like theoretical and yeah, like theoretical and non-concrete, right? Like whenever
Yeah.
you have a child, it's literally, I mean, if you're a responsible parent, like those children, your legacy, your biological legacy is in front of you every day of your life
Yeah.
afterwards, and
It's a
so
living thing that you brought into the world. You have responsibility for. You care for it. You know, it's like you can't just fuck around. You're like, oh well, no, I care about this, and this is my life now. You know, you're
if
giving your
only
life to something else.
if only we could have that same kind of devotion to our creative projects, you know that same kind of like, oh, okay, like this is my brainchild and I'm going to care for it 5 hours a day, and like,
I think you can, and sometimes you do, but I think it's I don't know. Maybe that's the I mean, I think that also goes into the sociopathic thing.
hmm,
Maybe it's a sociopathic thing to be like so into your work and it's your thing. It's like, but it's all you made it all up. Like it's all your like it's not none of it's I don't know.
well,
None of it's real.
that's interesting, right? Because it's like, because maybe what is needed to create successful, pieces of art, or success in, like, becoming a, CEO or whatever, is that incessant want or belief that if you actually like have that energy to put 5 hours a day into something like vehemently, even like if it was something that you created, that is what is needed to really make something, to bring something into reality
Yeah.
that's tangible, like, maybe, yeah, maybe that is, I think you're right. I think there's I think there's certainly a benefit, or a positive there,
But also
but
a common through line of like a lot of great artists too is like they have families. And I think and you see a lot of artists where their trajectory is they're kind of doing whatever and then they get a family and then they end up their career ends up
yeah, blowing up.
strengthening. And I think it has to do with what we're talking about of like, you know, you have something that gives you realize what's more important, and I think that makes you more productive. And I don't know. I'm also talking out of my asshole.
No, no, I think you're right. I think I was just reading something exactly on that. I think it was, oh,
I
actually,
stole
it
it.
was it was in the Artist's Way, actually, I think.
Yeah, I stole it.
Um, shut up.
I've been reading The Artist's Way, dude.
No, you're not. No, you haven't.
You
That's
just
not
did.
the Artist's Way. That's, what is that? The People's History of, oh, 1984.
Yeah. It's what's happening right now, man.
It's one of the best books ever written. That's an unbelievable book.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm writing a sequel. It's called
There was
2020.
so original.
What are you gonna say? Sorry.
I think there actually was a sequel written to that book, but it like completely flopped.
That makes sense. Why would you? You can't.
Yeah, and it wasn't George Orwell who did
Yeah.
it. It was like
It,
someone.
if there's a sequel, it's a different person. It's like
What are you
you
doing?
already know. You already know it's gonna be bad. Why are you doing this? Why are you subjecting yourself to this? I'm gonna write a sequel to A Clockwork Orange. Why?
Oof.
No, you're not. You know.
Mm. see.
2002, A Space Odyssey. Nah, dude, stop.
What happened in 2002? Let's see.
Not,
You were 9.
I was fucking watching the second Star
SpongeBob.
Wars movie, Attack of the Clones. I was watching Attack of the Clones, going, "This sucks." Um, Doctor Sleep, though. I guess that's not a Stanley Kubrick original, though. But The Shining has a sequel, Doctor Sleep.
Oh, that just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out
Didn't see it.
in 2019. It's good. It's really good. If you like The Shining, you should
Oh,
watch it.
I do. Yeah, I do like Stephen King. I have his actually literally right here his book on writing.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'd like to read it, but I have so many books.
What's it say? First buy 2 bottles of whiskey. Drink to the point where you black out. You know, he claims that he doesn't remember whole books that he's written.
Yeah, Tommy Knockers, right? He
Yeah.
said
Says he was
Tommy Knockers.
blacked out the entire time he wrote it.
He said, yeah, I was like flipping through it, and he was saying that he he the first book that I read of his was Cujo, a small
Yeah.
book about like a Saint Bernard or whatever. And he
Mhm.
said like when he looks at that book, he gets very sad because he just was miserable during it, and
Yeah.
he wishes that he could like go back and be enjoy the moments of writing it. You know,
Yeah.
it's fast, just such a cool dude.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Like 70 novels.
All of them garbage.
You know, all of them suck. All of them just fucking pieces of shit.
You were blacked out for some of these books? Yeah. It reads like it. No. I haven't read much Stephen King. I haven't read much Stephen King at all. I've seen movies. I like The Mist is great. I rewatched The Mist.
Oh, dude, The Mist is such a good short story.
It's a incredible movie. It's such a good. Have you seen the movie?
A while ago. Yeah, Frank Darabont, man, he's great.
So good. It's got like the entire cast of The Walking Dead in it. Because he made The Walking Dead right after, and I'm assuming that he was like, "Oh, all these people were great in The Mist, which is a post-apocalyptic kind of a thing." What's his name? The main guy. I forget his fucking name. The main guy in The Mist was supposed to play Rick Grimes, but he couldn't because he was doing Hung.
Oh my god.
Doesn't that suck?
And then that got canceled, and then my
Yeah,
god.
and then The Walking Dead is still on the air today. Not good anymore, but it's still in the air.
I
But
watched
dude,
that for a few seasons. Yeah.
we should probably.
Oh, what time is it?
It's like 10:30.
Oh my god.
What's that, like hour and a half?
More than that. 2
Yeah,
hours.
2 hours.
Wow. Dude,
What?
like I'm glad that you said something because I would have just really kept going
Dude,
actually.
we'll do another, and I mean, if you want me to do it again, we could do another.
Mm,
We could do it in the middle of the day and just talk for like 5 hours.
like like people like coming and like listening like
If we
No.
didn't do it at night, I wouldn't even be concerned with the time. I'd still keep talking.
I need to. Dude, I've been biking in the mornings and tomorrow I'm going to try doing 15 miles.
Yeah. Dude, good luck, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's my
That's
favorite
great.
part of the day. Really. Well, it's other than of course my normal schedule, it's my favorite part.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been
Times
just
New
trying to
Year.
walk more. That's what I've been doing. Not bike riding, okay? I get it. Fucking
I
Neil
don't like go with
Armstrong.
my bike like this.
Fucking Neil Armstrong, you're like this. I'm a cheater.
Yeah, this is yeah.
I'm a
this-
cheater. No, I just walk. I walk fucking 7 miles.
Dude, that's walking is great. It's
Yeah.
I think it's the healthiest thing for your body too, because like there's no like intense pressure on any parts of the body.
But biking's good too. Biking,
Yeah, biking is fine, but it's better than running. Running. I've already messed up my foot, which is why I switched over to biking. But I think biking is kind of harder on the knees.
yeah. That's why I stayed away from running. It's because also My favorite part of writing is like thinking of things and then like writing them down if I want to write them down. But if you're running, it's like I can't. Yeah, I'm like, like I can't type shit on my phone while I'm running. Also, you walk. You just walk longer. Instead of running for 4 miles, you walk for 8. That's like not a big deal.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Okay.
all right, man. This is
All
fun.
right. Yeah, this was a blast. I'm gonna send you the video as soon as it's uploaded, which will
All right.
probably be in like an hour or something.
And I'll cut everything out of it.
Beautiful, you beautiful
I'm
man.
gonna cut out a full hour of it. Okay.
Okay. Make sure. Can you show your? Could you show your PP before we go?
Yeah. Ready? No, you fucking piece of shit. Why would I do that? You.
I was
piece
gonna
of
end the
shit?
meeting right there. I was just gonna end the meeting.
No. Why, dude? You want to measure?
It would be funny next time.
Shut up. I'm not. Dude, you're fucked up. All right.
Okay. Hey, I'll see you later, man. I love
I
you.
love you, man.
Bye.
Bye.